Welcome to our podcast called The Next Shot, where we talk about photography, videos, and how to edit your work. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The Next Shot, where I am joined by my co-host, Luke Lukasic from Georgia. How you doing, Luke?
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
I hope they're doing great, because we have a good show today about inspiration. How you feel about that?
Yes. Great. This is interesting topic today.
It is. So getting together with Luke this evening, we were discussing some photographers that were very inspiring to us, either starting out in photography or currently while we're shooting photography, and we're following some of these photographers and their styles to kind of get our own little niche. So Luke has come up with a couple photographers, and so have I. So we're going to share those with you guys today and hope it gives you a little bit of inspiration as well. So Luke, I know I've got the screen share on, so if you want to go ahead and get started with one of your photographers that has inspired you to get your style going.
Definitely.
Okay.
Let's go here.
There you go.
All right, so this is Fan Ho. He's a Chinese photographer. He actually shot all his pictures from the time he turned 18 till he passed away with the same camera.
Wow.
He had one camera the whole time, but his photography is just, like you said, cinematic. You know, it puts you in a place that it's not real sometimes. I have a few pictures. I just grabbed 4 of them.
Yeah, that's fine. Now let's talk a little bit about this picture here. Is this picture pretty famous?
Yeah. It's one of his more known pictures. The other one is a girl, which I have in here as well. But it's just the dark, moody, just smoky background it gets me every time I see it. You know.
It looks almost like an early morning dew,
Mm-hmm.
if you will. So yeah, I like that. Let's see a couple other pictures that you chose.
Yeah. Well, he talks about not like finding inspiration and not necessarily other photographers, but in like poetry and in literature. You know what I'm saying? It's just finding. I think we talked about it before in one of our earlier episodes when you're out there and you get like a lyric in your head or a tune, and you just find the right picture to fit that moment.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. Oh, that's very good. Yeah.
Just the contrast, everything. I mean, I love his stuff.
It almost looks like a design, at first, and then you see the lady down there, which it makes that whole shadow scale. It shows how one person is that. It almost looks tiny compared to the shadow itself. But I mean, just the contrast there, that is gorgeous, black and white. It really is.
And then this is the last one I picked.
Yeah. That looks straight out of a movie scene, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. It's just his stuff is, to me, is amazing. It inspires me to want to do more, not necessarily just black and white, but just better pictures overall. It's just, he captures the moment.
So it kind of makes you think what he was feeling and where he was situated before this happened. Was he just waiting on somebody to come by with the boat, and kind of get that foreground with that background, because take the boat and the people out of it, not as dramatic, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can definitely see how you can pick a photographer like that to be inspired by. So, okay, we'll go ahead and do one of my photographers. I think we're going to start out with a local photographer here in North Carolina. I do believe he is from the Hendersonville, North Carolina area. I think he does a lot of traveling, of course, but his name's Walter Arnold. You guys can look him up on Facebook, and we'll try to have a link to some of these photographers that we're discussing here as well. But it's mainly about the inspiration. So in this picture, you see him with some of his well-known pieces that he's taken part of a series that he's called The Art of Abandonment. Okay, so the way he sees things, he goes into these old buildings, with permission, of course, and shoots like multi-exposure, multi-frame, and puts it all together back in post to make this HDR image, the high dynamic range image, that it just blows you away. And I think what it does for me as far as inspiration, if you just look at the next picture that we have of his, this is his trade show setup. I actually had a chance to visit Luke when he was living up in Waynesville. And while I was there, run across this Art of Abandonment series that he had calendars and pictures there. I mean, it has so much dimension, and he shoots with a lot of wide angles that you typically don't see with the normal eye. So, I mean, it grabs you and pulls you in, and you just start seeing all these little details and all this rust and papers that were left over from these places that are just abandoned. And let's go to the next image there, Luke. So this is like an old library, the books are still there, and it's just the way he sees it. He just sets up the tripod, puts in the wide angle. The lighting is just, it's gorgeous, like the time of day that he shoots with the light coming through the windows there. Can you imagine how many people touch these books?
Yeah, it sucks you in and puts you right there in the moment,
It does. And then if you start zooming in, you start looking at what's the title of this book, it starts getting you curious to think, to me, that's how I like to shoot. You find something that has like different textures in it, and you can pull that out with HDR and all that contrast too that was not there probably when he took the picture, but after he did all of his exposures, like we said, the highlights, the shadows, the contrast, and pulling that out, this is what you get. So I think I've got one more image of his, and it's like an old water slide. I do believe, I don't know if it's at a water park. I didn't do a whole lot of research on the location, but he finds stuff like this just driving around and talking to people in towns and finding some of these amusement parks and old police stations. So if you guys ever, need inspiration, find a photographer like me and Luke did. We got a couple more we'll go through, but find a photographer that you like their style, and just kind of do a little bit of research on, how they shot the image and kind of see some of the post-production, like we've been discussing with you guys as well, to pull out that detail that just pulls you into the image. So, all right, Luke, let's go ahead and move over to your other photographer that you have there.
Bring you over.
All right.
All right, so this is Walker Evans. He did a lot in like the mid 30s for the Great Depression photography, but then he moved on to just subway street photography. And again, he's black and white, but it's just like you can feel what this guy is thinking on his ride home or ride to work.
I can tell you what he's thinking, Luke. He's thinking, should I have chicken parm tonight, or should we do pizza? But I mean, it looks like he's got so much on his mind right now. And you can feel it.
You really can.
And even looking at the image there, you're like, it's like old windows, and I guess it's from the subway car, or
Yeah, I mean, that's wood. What I'm saying? They don't have wood on subways anymore.
Nah. And
like
even just look at the jackets that they're wearing. You can tell it was like maybe a fall or a winter day.
Mm-hmm.
He's tired, you can tell, and just like I say, that in itself, it was probably he raised the camera up, shot it while he was yawning, put it right back down, didn't say a word to him. Just kind of like capturing that moment.
Yeah. Just, I mean, again, you see it in their eyes, in their face. Just it's every picture. You know what I'm saying? Like this guy's sleeping again. It's just, they're great.
That's very good.
And obviously, two guys you wouldn't want to mess with if they were awake. It looks like.
This is true. Oh yeah, that's good. And that's Grand Central Station, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
You can kind of see. He probably didn't mean to capture that, but it just it's set up in the picture, mm-hmm. and it kind of tells a story. It brings the story together. But nowadays, if you look at that image, you can tell the window is slanted one way, the seat's slanted the other, she's kind of crooked. That's stuff that people would want to fix in Photoshop or,
Yeah.
with perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But, that it's not the true image. Back then, they just, when you're shooting film, you just push the button and click it. And
Yeah.
once you develop it, that's the image. No Photoshop back then, right?
No, you were the Photoshop.
That's it.
And then that's the last one for Walker.
Very good. And so you look, I mean, you can tell people are listening. The guy back there on the far left without the hat, I don't know if he's enjoying it or if he's kind of like, what is this guy doing? But, you look at the newspapers, you got this guy that just kind of stands up and plays the music, and it looks like he's trying to sing as well. So
yeah,
very inspirational, very inspirational. So thank you for sharing those.
No problem.
All right. My last one that I have is Scott Kelby. I think a lot of people that watch YouTube and want to learn about Photoshop, Lightroom, anything dealing with photography, Scott Kelby is a great photographer and a great teacher. I've watched a lot of his episodes that he had through the Kelby training as far as editing, and him and Matt Klaskowski, we didn't feature him this time, but they were like me and Luke, I guess, they were always playing off of each other, and it was like a tag team for photography, and they would always discuss how they would edit stuff a different way and critique other people's photos. So Scott Kelby, he's one of those guys, he's an entrepreneur to where everything he says, it's either funny or it's educational. So, I mean, he's a great guy. So flip to one of his images there. The grid, let's discuss that a little bit. If you guys like what we're doing, it was very common for the grid back in the day to have guests on and discuss photography. Now they have the grid live, which is on YouTube, Facebook. It's pretty much everywhere now, but it's a photography show that is very inspirational to me. So every time it comes on, I watch it. It's 30 minutes to an hour episode. He has special guests on there, kind of like what me and Luke want to do. So it inspired me to have something like this podcast that you guys, well, it's not really a podcast anymore. I think we're moving more toward the video side, but that's kind of what we want to do for you guys, is inspire you as well. So let's show a image that Scott Kelby did there. So this right here is an image that he taught how to do the lighting for a portrait that has a little bit more harshness to it, where you set up a key light or an overhead light for the hair light up top, and then you got a left softbox and a right softbox, and then all three of those lights together. He showed you how to put this image together. When you're shooting portraits instead of a snapshot, anybody can do the pose on the field with the football and the helmet. But when he gets into saying, he wants the portraits to speak to you, he wants them to be lit very well. And then you can adjust a lot of this stuff in post. But let's go to the next image. So he's actually a sports photographer as well. So he does a lot of traveling. I think he's out of Florida, but he does a lot of traveling to some of the pro games. And what I liked about Scott Kelby that inspired me to do a lot more sports stuff for like high school football, little league baseball, is that he taught you the lenses to use, the settings to be in. And he also had a pass to NFL games, like a press pass. So he would show you the behind the scenes of him shooting with some of the guys on the field. So you talking about inspiration for a photographer such as myself in a small town. How do I get on the field to shoot?
Exactly.
Pictures, right. Yeah. So I went to the local newspaper. I talked to the editor there, and I got with him, and I said, look, I want to be on the field. He got me a press pass. I had a press pass for about 4 years, and I could shoot any high school sports that I wanted to with that press pass. So he's the one that inspired me to do more sports, especially the high school sports, where it was very underutilized for parents to have a great action image of their child playing football, because most high school football games are at night. And not a lot of people can get on the field, and not a lot of people can shoot during the nighttime, So that's something I did. And I've got a lot of sports photography because of Scott Kelby. So one more image I want to show you. So this one here, this is part of his portrait lighting classes that he teaches as well. And if you look into her eyes, I don't know if you can zoom in into her eyes there, Luke. And you can kind of see, I know it's not the greatest quality, but it's, it's an image that you can see the soft box, the two that he used, almost like a butterfly effect, left and right, but you flip them top and bottom.
Yeah.
And then that is a horizontal portrait. So you can kind of see how the lights were set up, but you look at the skin tones and how everything just kind of, it's smooth. He teaches those classes so that you can learn professional portrait photography. So very inspirational to me. I know I don't have as many images, but it's about the inspiration today, Luke. If everybody out there listening can find a photographer that inspires them to either, teach the portrait part of it, or if you want to learn sports, follow those photographers and learn everything they can teach you, because that's what me and Luke are doing with you guys as well. It's teaching you, how we would want to be taught. So, all right, I think that's it for the inspirational part of it. So, Luke, what else you got for us on for the video today for everybody out there listening?
It's been a fun ride so far. Hopefully, what we have coming soon in the future will kind of just solidify everything we have going for us.
Right, I agree. And we've asked you guys to leave us some comments. Give us some questions. We've got a few people out there that are doing that for us. We're going to build those up for an episode of question and answers, or Q&A, for you guys, so that we can knock a lot of them out at one time. But if there is a specific thing that you guys want to learn on our on the next shot for the next episode, let us know. Leave it in the comments, and definitely share it with the friends and family, and make sure you guys subscribe and click on the bell so you guys are notified when we do another episode for you. But Luke, again, thank you, man. I really appreciate you joining me tonight and getting this out for everybody to get inspired, and hopefully our Get Out and Shoot campaign, I need to upload another one of those this week. Will help everybody get out this weekend and shoot a little bit more as well. So
definitely, I love being here, man. Love being here.
So Luke, I think that's it for this episode. I think everybody will be very inspired from what we've taught them today, for the inspiration the photographers have given us. So what do you think about it?
Definitely. Let's make sure we all put in our comments who inspires you, what inspires you, and even show us if you can.
Yes, very good. And again, we're going to leave some links in the episode as well. But until then, we'll see you guys on the next shot.